welcome back to my channel. If you have found this video, then you probably are interested in my sublimation process. So this is a slightly different video to usual. I'm not going to be doing sort of an all-round studio vlog today. I'm just going to be showing you today what my Saturday of sublimation printing was like. So if you haven't seen any of my previous studio vlogs, then you might not know the sort of the back history to sublimation for me. So essentially, I've always done heat pressing, but I used to do only black and white heat pressing, and it was with a slightly different process. It was like a transfer paper that I would print black and white designs on, and then I would use my heat press, which I've had for a couple of years, to do tote bags mainly. And tote bags sell amazingly well here in the shop. I don't sell them online yet, and that is purely because I'm not very good at product photography, and I haven't quite worked out how I can get some good photos of the tote bags to get them online. But in the shop they sell so well, especially through the tourist season, so I am always making and selling tote bags. Sublimation printing for me is quite new in that I only bought my Epson sublimation printer. And if you want to know the funny story about that, there is a completely separate video all about when I bought my sublimation printer and the mistakes I made with it and how I'm still learning to get the best out of the sublimation printer. So I bought that, I can't remember if it was January or February this year, and that was the point where I started then doing colour sublimation printing. And so I started doing some mugs, and I've shared a little bit in some studio vlogs of some mug testing that I've done. I've also done some coloured prints on some tote bags, and today I've been doing mouse mats too. There's so many other things that I have wanted to try. I did try some coasters. I did that in a vlog not long ago, and they went terribly wrong. They were really poor quality blanks, so they didn't work at all. But this time when I invested in the mouse mats, I went for a really good quality, and I'm so glad I did, because some of the mouse mats have turned out absolutely fantastic. And then there's some that have had minor little errors, so I would class them as B grade, still good enough to sell or still good enough for someone to have, but they're not fully how I want them to be, so they're going to be B grades on my website. They won't go onto Etsy, so none of my B grades will go onto Etsy, they'll only go onto the website. But I'm going to show you one of the mouse mats that I did, and this one is that I'm going to be keeping for myself, and that's because it's a B grade, because I missed this tiny little area at the bottom here when I was putting the paper onto it. And I'm keeping this one for myself because it's got that beautiful greens that work well here in the studio, and it's quite a muted tones one, so it would work really well on anyone that likes houseplants and succulents, but also if they've got like a wooden desk, this is going to work really nice. So woods and blacks are going to go really well with this. I've got a white desk, and it actually works really well on my white desk, but I'm just so pleased with the quality. It's a really nice finish. It's like a polyester top, it's 5mm thick, and I'm just so glad with these sublimation blanks. If you want the link to these sublimation blanks, let me know in the comments, and I will tell you exactly where I got these sublimation blanks from. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you now for the rest of this video how the day went really. And so the testing process, I will show you all of the B grades that I ended up with. I'll also show you the mugs that I did. So I did around 15 or 20 different mug designs because I had printed them all through the week, and I wanted to I wanted to print a variety of designs to see which ones would need tweaking before I went ahead and did multiples of each design. So I only did one of each one, and then I will look at how they've turned out. If I'm happy with them, I'll know to reprint exactly as they are. If they need slightly tweaking, if the size needs changing or anything like that, or if I feel like they're too plain or too detailed, then I can go back, tweak the designs before I end up then reprinting them. And what I do is I have them displayed in the shop. I'll show you how I do the display. I have like a counter stand and all the mugs are in there, and some of them are going to be B grade and then others will be, they're perfectly fine how I'd want them to be, so they'll just be standard mugs. I keep looking this way because I'm looking at them on my desk. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how things are progressing for me with sublimation printing. As I say, I'm still quite new to the process, but I'm really enjoying it. Now that I know that mouse mats are a definite yes from me, I love creating them, I love designing them, and the process of making them is absolutely fantastic. They work so well. So now that I've got a really good quality sublimation blanks for the mouse mats, I'm really pleased with the quality of how those have turned out. The papers that I'm using, I will show you the paper. So this is like a little folder, this is where I keep it all. So this is my folder where I have all of the ready to print. So this is my ready to print. So this is through the week. I will design things, I will then print them onto the different papers on my sublimation printer, and then in here I also have the tape that I need and just a pair of scissors. The notes that I make in here are what the recommended times are for the length of time that they need pressing for and the temperature that they need pressing for. So I note down all of the manufacturer guidelines, and then if I need to tweak them because of my heat press, I also note down then what I've tweaked that to and keep the notes in here so that whatever blank I'm using, I know what settings to use on my heat press. So obviously my heat press has two different attachments for being able to do sort of the flat things and then the mugs, and I have to record all of the different settings for each in there. Now the paper that I'm using for mouse mats is my Sublimation for Soft. So this is the brand I'm using here, so Ink Express, and that is what I'm using to use with my Epson sublimation printer, and that is working really well. So that I'm using for tote bags and mouse mats at the moment. And then the sublimation for hard paper that I'm using is another Ink Express sublimation paper. So that's this one here. And that's been working out really well for the mugs mainly. I haven't tried anything else yet for the hard surfaces. Oh no, I did. I also tried the coasters with that paper, and the coasters were a complete fail, but the fail wasn't because of the paper. The fail was because of the really poor quality of the coasters. I'm sure I shared a little look at, I had like 2 or 3 successes and the rest were just really flimsy. The thickness was so thin that they sort of indentated into the coasters. So I definitely want to get some good quality coaster blanks, and then I'll share with you when I find a good supplier of those. Then I also have a sublimation for all. So let me see if I can get this one out. So this is my sublimation for all, and that is another Ink Experts. I keep saying Ink Express, don't I? Ink Experts. So it's an Ink Experts paper range for that's for multi, so you can use that for hard and soft surfaces. In all honesty, I think I'm going to stick with, because I wasn't as happy with this one as I am with the 2 separate ones with the finish that I got. So I'm going to, this is what I got when I got the printer. So I ordered the whole bundle so that I could test them all. When I come to reordering, I'm just going to get the ones for soft and the ones for hard. I'm not going to get the joint one, I don't think. So they live behind me. The other paper that I use, I don't know if it's actually got its branding on the paper. Let me have a look. Ah, it has. Okay, so this is what I use when I'm doing black and white transfer on heat pressing onto my tote bags. This is the brand that I'm using for that. So that I've been using for a long time. I've just actually had to reorder this massive lot because, as I say, the tote bags, they do so well, especially come the summertime. I need to be making them quite regularly to restock the shop. but it comes out slightly different to how you would see the sublimation, because it doesn't actually print onto it. You have like a, it's hard to describe, but I'll show you some footage of how the tote bags with the transfer paper look as opposed to the sublimation tote bags. They are very different in how the finish is, but they both sell equally as well, so I'm quite happy to do both. In fact, it's easier for me to do the transfer version, and it's cheaper for me to do the transfer version than it is for the sublimation version. I don't have to use my Epson sublimation printer to be able to do the transfer prints. I actually use my Brother printer to do the transfer prints with that true print paper that you saw, and then I use the sublimation printer for the sublimation prints to go on my tote bag. So they're two different things, different price points, but they both sell equally as well here in the shop. So the plan is to eventually start selling the tote bags online as well, but I need to figure out a way of getting better product photography, because it's one of my biggest weak points is product photography. I'm no good at it. I know I'm no good at it, and I need to get better, and I'm hoping that come the spring, summertime when it's dry outside that I can do photography outside, and I think I'll find it much easier doing it outside than the poor quality lighting that I've got here in the shop. But yeah, I will show you now how the day went and all of the different products I managed to get made today. This is Saturday, it is the Saturday the 11th of March, so you will start to see some of the mouse mats and some of the mugs appearing on my Etsy and my website. They'll go onto the website first before they go onto Etsy, they always do. They will be limited stock because obviously I'm only really doing my sublimation printing on a Saturday at the moment, because it's the day that my husband can come and help me in the shop, and then I can go out into the rear studio and do the sublimation work, which is where I keep all of those sorts of tools and equipment. So my sewing machine is out there, press, my mug press and everything like that. And I don't actually do it every day. I only do the sublimation work and the printing work on a Saturday when my husband is here, so that he can cover the shop for me.